Guys, all right, we're back on the C4 build and twin turbos. And what we got is a Velocity sheet metal intake and Velocity fuel rails. And we have basically just your inexpensive throttle body here. That's a 92 millimeter. And we didn't need to go quite much bigger, but even though this guy could have actually done the larger size. So I already assembled one side here to make sure everything looked good and nothing was wrong. And this fuel rail kit actually comes with four AN6 style fittings. It also comes with the O-rings, and these are your standoffs, and it gives you two different options here, which are essentially in case you have taller injectors. So just a couple quick tips here. When you're installing the actual fuel injectors, you want to take just a little bit of oil. Literally, just grab some engine oil, shake it up in there, take off the cap. Just use what's in the cap, quite literally, and then just get some on your hand and just lightly lubricate these guys, so that way, excuse me, you're not fighting any dry stuff there. Now, that'll make it slide into these holes way easier. Alright, so like I said, I've already assembled one side. We're going to go ahead and get the second side done. Now, it's pretty simple stuff, nothing crazy. It's got basically a hole on this side. It passes through a recess, and that's for the head of this Allen head right here. So you drop the 3 Allen heads in here. Alright, and just kind of hold it over a little bit, and I'll flip it. So right here, I know we have the shorter injectors, so we're going to go into that hole itself, and then you put on your lock washer and your lock nut, or excuse me, your nut. Now I'm just holding it with my finger on the other side because I want to get everything started. I don't lock anything down until we actually know we're ready. Now, obviously, if you're using the taller injector, you'll use that upper hole. It's kind of nice. In other fuel rails, if you're using any stock stuff, you'd be creating you'd have to get a little plastic standoff for that. So that would lift where these normally mount with the other fuel rails up. And you put a little plastic piece in there. But anyways, all right, so we'll get this guy in there, hand tighten that. Now, let's see. I'm gonna get the third one. Lock washer and nut. All right. Now again, I'm just hand tightening these, nothing crazy. That way I'll be able to move them around. Now the lettering's towards the front. We're gonna put one of these. You see how it's got the O-ring on there. Goes like that. And we're just hand tightening everything as usual, so don't get it too crazy. Now we got 3 smaller bolts, and that has little Allen heads on it, and those are what go into the base here to lock this segment down to the actual intake. All right, so let's see if we can get you over here so you can better view what we're talking about. Alright. Okay, so now that we've got these injectors lubricated, we'll be able to just take it, set it down on the back one, so to speak. Sorry, get you back. There we go. So we locate on the back one, kind of check that they're all in line, and I'll reach kind of underneath this in the hole and towards this and squeeze with my hand and just feel it walk into place. Perfect. All right. Wonderful. And there we go. So if I hadn't oiled that, you'd probably sit there and fight with it forever. Now you want to turn your actual injectors inward, otherwise they won't clear very well on the frame rail, or excuse me, the fuel rail very well. And I'll give you a view of that. They just, if you turn that, it gets blocked pretty good. So, all right, I'll turn that 90 degrees and get that in there. So, all right, so now we've got our crossover tube. Now, sometimes you could put this in the back, or if you really tighten the back, you can do it in the front. It just all depends on where your fuel is coming from. I do know that I want to feed this guy preferably from the back because it's a little cleaner, but that doesn't mean it's going to work out that way. So what we'll do is we're just going to temporarily mount this onto the front, so that way we, can just use this with ease. If we need to switch it, it's, simple. But at least it's in place on here. Now we're going to go ahead and get these guys in. And they, of course, land right down here on the standoffs. Now it is a bit tight inside here to get. And God knows I did this a few times last time. So see if I can hold this at the same time. Yeah, excuse me, I am right-handed too. All right, feels like it got started. Now, I've got one of these Allen heads. See how it's got kind of a ball? That is super important because these nuts are in your way. So you really could actually, get these guys going first and then do this, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea of getting the fuel rail side set up first. So, all right, so you essentially just get all of these started. You don't want to jump the gun here. Let's see. All right, almost got it. Might be enough to get it going. Let's see. We don't want to cross thread anything by any means. So, no. And this is the fun. All right, I'm gonna set you guys down for a second. Let's see if you got a view better back here. All right. Being right-handed and having the other one to kind of hold it makes it a little easier to get started. All right. So we got that going in. All right. So definitely loving this Allen wrench right now. It's working perfectly. Get this last one into place. Let's see if I can just slowly start it right here while I hold it. Yeah, that actually works really good. Oh, maybe not. Spoke too soon. All right, there we go. All right, so we got those going. Now, if you don't have this actually fully engaged, when you go tighten these down, it will pull them down into place correctly for you. So don't stress that out. You don't want it to do it a lot, like you don't want it to push a ton, so try to get it down as best as possible. All right. Okay, so now we got everything kind of in place. We're going to go ahead and just kind of lock these guys down. That way we know they're not going to go anywhere at this point. All right, perfect. Okay, so with these fittings, they actually come with an O-ring that lands in this groove right here. Hopefully you can see that right in there. And this is one with it installed, so we have an extra. Now we only have an extra because when they have the backside here, you have one right here and then one right here. So in this case, I do want to feed it from this side, I'm thinking. So, and we will go ahead and start that guy right there, right? Now the fuel can come in here, and then it comes around and then drops in the crossover tube, and then comes into the fuel rail here and feeds. Now that's how conventional it works. Now but their feed is typically over the top in the middle on a standard intake, a vehicle. So let's show you the truck intake here. As you can see, it feeds right here, comes in, and it goes this way and then across. Now that works pretty well and doesn't create any kind of issues and gives everything we want. Now the only issue with this setup is that these guys get fed first, and then it comes around here, and then this guy is last on the pressure. So what you can do is you can use that. You can have his crossover, say, in the front here. And then what you can do is, why that other fitting is so nice, is you have a full fuel regulator. Fuel regulator can feed 2 spots in most cases. Unless you get a really cheap one or old school one. So now you got your fuel regulator back here. Fuel comes up and it gets split and comes down to both sides of the actual rails. So after it regulates, it comes to here and boom. Now we got all that. So the regulator itself can have your fuel relief there. So if you have any overfueling or excessive fueling, it'll just pull that back to the fuel tank. But that's kind of what's going on. You got these both rails here. Now we just got some decapped injectors that we had checked out, and we'll probably looking at about 78 pounds if I remember correctly on the data sheet. So now if you're not going to do that, just plug up one side and that'll take care of it. Now on this intake here, when they come, they're very, very clean on the top, unlike a truck intake, because essentially all your breathing ports are here. It comes with rubber gaskets. You just shove them down inside the holes there and they get locked in, and basically you can see there's the injector port right there, and that's how it's set up. So that actually looks pretty good. Now you can just block these off if you don't need them. And there's where you put your map sensor. So and as far as these goes, it was my understanding you don't use like any kind of Teflon or anything, that you actually just use a Loctite on it. And the Loctite, when it dries, it acts like a Teflon. So when you can tighten it down, it'll be airtight, not create any kind of vacuum leaks. Now, I'll probably go ahead and put all of them in and Loctite them, tighten them down, and then if I don't need anything, I'll just put a cap on it and cap it off. but I don't want to have to remove the intake in order to actually install my fitting again, because trying to reach this is not going to happen from that vehicle. It's just too much going on right there, so it's too tight. So essentially that's the sheet metal intake with our standard throttle cable style throttle body. Now we do need to come up with a cable setup here, and we might use these standoffs that we have for mounting to do so. But that is our velocity intake. Just make sure you get all these guys pressed in there good. You know I'm standing out, but if it's generally where it needs to be once you bolt her down, which they supplied that also, once you get it in place, you can bolt this bad boy down and it'll lock that inside there. So, alright guys, well, I'm Jeremy, this is Chaos Garage, and stay tuned for some more stuff coming up soon on this twin turbo Corvette. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and throw some chats in there, guys. Comments, we appreciate them. Have a good day.